me is New Jersey Senator-elect Andy Kim, who we should also mention is the first Korean American elected to serve in the U.S. Senate. Senator-elect Kim, so I want you to pick up on something. We were talking about what's going on in Syria and particularly Iran, and you brought up Iran in your last answer. But during the break, you mentioned something very interesting. So let me ask you this. How does what happened in Syria impact Iran's standing in the region?
Well, this could be a fundamental realignment for Iran. What we see right now is potentially fracturing and cutting off access through Syria, as well as to Lebanon. That's basically potential to cut off Iran's access to the Mediterranean, leaving them with maybe, the Shia militia groups in Iraq and the Houthis, but really a devastating blow. The major allies, the major pieces that they have potentially off the table. So I think that's why it's so incredibly important that in terms of what comes next and why it is in the United States' national interest to try to shape that.
Right, to try to squeeze Iran, particularly now when it's down. And this is, I'm assuming, in reaction to President-elect Trump saying, this isn't our fight, when the news broke about Syria.
That's right.
Last week. Speaking of President-elect Donald Trump, he sat down with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker. And he still backs former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard to be his choice for Director of National Intelligence, despite her sit-downs with now ousted Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Listen to this.
In 2017, she had 2 secret meetings with Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Do you have questions or concerns about those meetings?
I met with Putin. I met with President Xi of China. I met with Kim Jong-un twice. Does that mean that I can't be president?
Well, when you were president, they weren't secret meetings.
Look, people meet. All these people meet.
So you have confidence in Tulsi Gabbard?
I do. So does she's a very respected person.
Should Tulsi Gabbard be DNI?
Well, one thing I want to just point out there, President-elect Trump was saying, people just meet each other. I have no idea how any circumstance would occur that you can just meet Bashar al-Assad. We have to know what led up to that. What was the reason for that? What were the intermediaries that set this up? That's the kind of information we're talking about. As someone who I worked at the National Security Council before, I know how the Director of National Intelligence is the one in the Oval Office with the president every single day, giving the president's daily brief. And if you want to ask me if I feel confident that Tulsi Gabbard can do that with our nation's interests at stake here, I have deep concerns about that.
And I recognize you're being reticent saying anything definitive because after you get sworn in tomorrow, you'll be a member of the Senate. And then in the next Congress, you will be voting on all of these people who Donald Trump has selected for cabinet appointments. I'm going to play something else from Kristen's interview with Donald Trump. And this is what he had to say about birthright citizenship. Watch this.
You've promised to end birthright citizenship on day one. Is that still your plan?
Yeah, absolutely. If we can, through executive action. I was going to do it through executive action, but then we had to fix COVID first, to be honest with you. We have to end it.
As I mentioned in the intro, you will be the first Korean American to serve in the U.S. Senate. You are the son of Korean immigrants. How does it make you feel to hear an incoming president of the United States say that he's going to end birthright citizenship?
Yeah. My parents, 50 years ago is when they came to the United States, and they were so in awe of America, wanted to come here, did everything they could to be able to make it here. And I was born here as well as my sister. And, my sister and I, we ended up getting citizenship through being born here, and we got our citizenship before our parents did. And so, I think about this, where else was I supposed to go? And it's just this sense of fundamental what America is. I like that we are a nation that embraces that sense, that it's not about the blood that we have going through our veins, that we have that broader sense. And for Donald Trump to talk about this, especially saying that he wants to use an executive action, I think that was the part that really stuck out to me. If he wants to make a case to the American people to amend the 14th Amendment and change our Constitution, look, we can as a country go through that process. But if he thinks that he is going to use some type of executive action to circumvent what is very well known to be in the purpose of that particular section of the 14th Amendment, that is something that would be exploitative, something that would certainly be deceptive to what has been precedent for over 100 years.
Let me play one more soundbite from Kristen's interview, and this is what he had to say on pardoning the January 6th insurrectionists?
I'm going to look at everything. We're going to look at individual cases, yeah.
Okay.
But I'm going to be acting very quickly.
Within your first 100 days, first day?
First day.
First day.
Yeah, I'm looking first day.
Issue these pardons.
These people have been there, how long is it, 3 or 4 years?
Among the iconic photos to come out of January 6th is of you cleaning up inside the Capitol after the riots of January 6th. Your response to the incoming president of the United States saying he would pardon the people who were responsible for that.
Yeah. Well, you know, unfortunately, this is not something that's surprising news. We've heard him say this for quite some time. And, you know, I just think about it in terms of the signal that it's sending. You know, I am so worried about this moment right now for this country, just how on edge we are, you know, how much anxiety we all have. And just this worry about distrust within our government and within our institutions. So that's one part of it. The other aspect of this is, I mean, look, we were just talking about global events. We're talking about the economy and other issues that are out there. Really, is this day one? You know, what are his priorities? You know, and when I talk to people back in New Jersey, including people that voted for him, you know, the mission was to make sure we're addressing the issues that people are facing right now with high costs and affordability, the challenges that they're facing on that kind of front. You know, we want to make sure that we're moving forward to address. I'm prepared to work in a bipartisan way to try to help with that sense of affordability and other issues like that. So it's just, I worry that, again, he's going to just get down these rabbit holes and just get down to the elements of retribution and political weaponization and attacks, which if we have 4 more years of that, which many fear that we will, it would be devastating to our country.
New Jersey's senator-elect until tomorrow when you get sworn in as senator. Andy Kim, thank you very much for coming to the Sunday Show.
Thanks for having me.